Hey everyone, Carolina Venom here. Today I'm doing a introduction video on the Kyocera Hydro Vibe from Virgin Mobile. I just had to give this phone a try. I've heard some goods and a lot of bads with this phone, but I figured I had to just try it out for myself because I wanted to review it and I wanted to test it and I just wanted to see how it is. So anyway, today I'm going to be just pretty much telling you about the phone, the specs, the features, and my first initial thoughts. I do currently have Virgin Mobile, so I am able to do speed tests. Of course, not here because I don't have really enough coverage to pull anything more than like 0.01 megabits download or upload, so I have to be in a good coverage area to actually give you a speed test. But for right now, I will give you the specs of the phone and all that good stuff. So we will go ahead and get started. This phone is running Android 4.3. It is IP57 certified, which is of course water and dust resistant. It does have a 4.5-inch display with 960 by 540 pixels at 245 ppi. This phone does have a 8 megapixel camera on the back with LED flash, and it does have a number of camera features, which is always nice to see. And the camcorder can record up to 1080p at 30 frames per second, and it does have a 2 megapixel camera in the front. This phone is running a 1.2 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 400 processor with 1.5 gigabytes of RAM with 8 gigs of built-in storage with around 5.5 gigs available to user, and it will hold up to a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. It's got a 2000 milliamp hour battery with around 14 hours of talk time and around 8 days of standby time, and it also supports wireless built-in charging. So pretty neat phone as far as features go. I mean, you know, when you consider it's got LTE support for, of course, Virgin Mobile's 4G LTE. It's got NFC. It has the smart sonic receiver audio technology, which means there is no speaker grill up here. It just sends vibes to the phone to translate it goes to your eardrum and gives you the sound without having to have the speaker. So it's kind of cool as well. Of course, in the camera and the quad-core processor and all that good stuff. And I like the fact that it does support wireless charging, even though this is my very first phone that does support that. Around the phone here, like I said, you're a front-facing camera. No worries about getting water in here because there is no speaker grill. On the bottom, you have your recents button, home button, and back button. On the bottom, you have your micro USB charging port. On this side here, you have your volume rocker. On top is your power button and 3.5mm headset jack. And you do have a dedicated camera key on the back. And back here is the back cover that has an O-ring around it to kind of keep water out if you was to dunk it in water. Of course, it don't have ports to cover everything like the headset jack and all that stuff, so that kind of always makes me think, no ports to cover the charging port or the headset jack, but so therefore I wouldn't really recommend dropping it in water, but that's just me. Then of course your single rear speaker, your camera, and flash. So all in all, a good feeling phone. It is just a tiny bit heavy, but it's not bad. The phone looks like a block. I mean the phone is not very. It's very rectangular looking. It's not really a squared off phone. It does have a 4.5-inch display, but it is it just looks different. But it still looks cool, and I like it. The phone does feel good though. It is slick, but it is kind of rubbery and rough feeling, as you can kind of see back here on the back texture, but it is nice to hold on to. It does feel good in the hand. So we'll go ahead right now and power it on. And the screen does look pretty good. I mean, it's not the best screen in the world. Of course, not an HD display, but the screen does look pretty nice with nice coloring, and all the text do look good. I have noticed it has a little bit of lag when you're scrolling between pages, more than I figured it would have, seeing as it, the kind of hardware and all it's got, with the quad core 400 Snapdragon and the 1.5 gigs of RAM. I figured this thing here would be smooth as butter, but it's really not. It's got some lag to it, but like I say, it's not unbearable, and it is manageable, and it is one of the smoother Kyocera phones I have used. So that's also a really good thing. I'm going here right now and run a benchmark test, but I'm going to go in here first, and I'm going to go ahead and clear it out because I know it's going to force stop on me. So we'll go ahead and run it. Some of the bads that I've heard about this phone is the reception being very, very bad, and not being able to pull much LTE service, or having bad call quality, not being able to load videos and all that stuff. So, and I've also heard it's got very, very bad call quality to the receiver, and as far as calling out and calling in. So, like I said, I'm going to test it for a week, mine, because I know you can also sometimes get a bad device and everything. But like I said, I've not really tested mine out yet as far as reception goes, or as far as call quality goes. Right now, mine here is coming in at 79.79, which is pretty good. It's not bad. Of course, it's not, M8 or S5 speeds, but it is nice for what it is, and for the price of this phone of only $100 off contract with Virgin Mobile is very nice. I was pulling about 8,400 earlier, so it does fluctuate here and there. Like I was saying about reception though, right now I am, as you see, pulling no bars of service, and that's about typical where I live, but it does go between 0 and 1 bar, whereas my Galaxy Victory 4G usually runs around 2 bars of service here. So there is a noticeable drop in coverage with this phone. So, that's kind of bad. But like I say, I do live in a no coverage area, so any coverage I do get is better than none at all. But like I said, the call quality, I did call Virgin Mobile on it today, and it did sound pretty clear on my end, but I will really be able to tell the tale whenever I'm actually talking to somebody on the phone in a good coverage area. So hopefully it'll do okay and everything. We'll also run this test here. It's already been ran, and it was coming in right at 17,000, so that's a pretty good job as well, as it says there. Good job. 17,000 are right there at it, so that's not a bad speed either. This phone does run smooth, and I really don't think you're going to have that much of a problem with this phone as far as speed goes, as far as playing games. I've not played any games on it yet, but as the week goes on, I am going to play some games, play some pretty big games. I'm going to do several speed tests. I was able to, on my last speed test with Virgin Mobile on the Galaxy Victory 4G, I was able to get 23 megabits download, and I'm going to take this phone to the exact same place and do the LTE speed test and see if it does the same speed or if it's a lot weaker. And of course, the time of day does matter as well. And now with the deal with Sprint or Virgin Mobile in congested areas cutting back speeds, that's liable, to come into a factor as well. So, I will be running a few speed tests on this phone. But all in all, so far, I do like it. I like the way it looks. The battery life, I've been telling it ain't that great. I gave it a full charge earlier today, and not even been using it other than a few tests. Not even been doing nothing on it really, and it's done down to 73%. So I don't expect the battery life to be the greatest on this phone, which I've never really had a Kyocera phone that did have good battery life. But so far, like I say, I do like it. But of course, that it will, whenever I actually begin using it heavy and talking on it and texting on it, I love the texting app on the texting or messaging keyboard on this phone. I love the haptic feedback. It's got a very powerful vibration, and it's very nice to use, and you can actually feel whenever you're touching the buttons and everything. And Kyocera has always been good about having a very good strong vibration to it, and sound quality out the rear speaker does sound pretty good as well. So like I say, in about a week from now, I probably will have a speed test in a few days showing the speed test of this phone on LTE. So stay tuned for that. But in about a week of using this phone, I will be doing more of a pros and cons and what I really think about it after using this phone. But this here was mainly, like I say, just the specs and running some tests. So anyway, we're going to find out how it is, and I'll get back to y'all later. Got any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me. Subscribe to my channel. I sure would appreciate it. This is the Kyocera Hydro Vibe for Virgin Mobile. Y'all have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.